President Trump confirms that the suspect behind Charlie Kirk's assassination has been captured. The FBI shared new details connected to the shooter. Left-wing lunatics celebrate as disturbing reactions to this assassination flood social media, and Democrats try to point the finger at Republicans yet again for all of this political violence. We've got a lot to discuss, but real quick, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to become part of this amazing community.
Any updates on the suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job.
We're still getting more information as to the identity of this killer, although it was clear that this was a planned attack with the shooter having a specific plan of escape. However, I don't think he planned that cameras would be able to record him running away from the scene of the crime.
So here you see the suspect ran behind that upper building. He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes.
What's disturbing, though, is that many liberals are celebrating Charlie's death, with them openly mocking where he got shot. This is stuff that you just can't make up and comes from a place of pure hatred.
Got pew-pewed in the throat so that in his final moments he couldn't in fact speak. I think that's just poetic justice.
After hearing news like this, some form of memoriam is expected. So, in honor of his noble sacrifice, I am going to be getting absolutely blitzed tonight. Who's with me?
And it's not just left-wing lunatics. Their own Democrat leaders are also saying the same thing, although they're doing it in a more subtle way. Just listen to how Democrat Representative Ilhan Omar attacks Kirk, with her knowing fully well that Charlie won't be able to answer anymore.
What I do know for sure is that, Charlie was someone who once said, guns save lives. After a school shooting. Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth should never exist. And I think, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
Complete rewriting of history.
Yeah, there is nothing more effed up, than to completely pretend that, his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade or so.
Meanwhile, the left would have you believe that the violent messaging comes from the right. Unfortunately for them, videos on the internet are forever. Listen to how Anderson Cooper and Congressman Dan Goldman try to blame right-wing influencers for what happened, and then realize that they're the ones who are putting this violent rhetoric out into the public.
From some in the sort of far right, podcasting sphere who make money off this kind of rhetoric. They're talking about war. That there's a war targeting conservatives.
That is incredibly dangerous. And I hope these far-right podcasters come to their senses and recognize that this is not war.
Like we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
And even though they've already been exposed, they still stick to their narrative that we shouldn't blame their violent way of addressing Republicans, because to them, this is something that conservatives actually do.
Let's be serious about where this violence is coming from. Of extremist violent attacks in America, extremist violent murders, 76% are from right-wing extremists, 4% are from left-wing extremists. I condemn that 4%. But we also need to be honest about, as a nation, about where this violence is coming from.
But of course we have to be fair. Abby Phillip of CNN is saying that we shouldn't forget about the political violence that happened against Democrats, with her insisting that it's not just Republicans that are getting shot and killed. The problem with that idea is that the shooter in this story is also believed to be a Democrat.
I just want to note, though, I mean, you cannot omit, just a couple months ago, Democratic Minnesota state representatives were assassinated.
By a left-wing lunatic.
No, not by a left-wing lunatic. And so I do think that, I think the point everybody is trying to make is that if we want to get to the bottom of violence, political violence, division, and hatred that leads to violence, that might lead to retribution if this is not handled properly, don't we have an obligation to talk to all of us, not just to talk to one part of the country?
Do you know what the worst kind of evil is? The one that believes that it's good. Because yes, the Republican Party is not perfect, and many of us are still waiting on the darned Epstein list. But we have to admit the fact that these attacks have almost all come from the left, with them getting their feelings hurt by mere words. Now I want to leave you with a video of Charlie Kirk where he explains why he did what he did.
What do you hope to get out of this? Why are you here?
Okay, I've been asked that question a lot. First of all, that question should not even have to be asked, but when people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When church starts happening, they fall apart. When civilizations stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. Whether it be the great genocide, the horrible genocides of the last 100 years, people stop talking with each other because they lose their humanity. I wish we could be here without having my hat thrown off and stuff, but what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option.
I hope that all of us can realize that we cannot stop talking to one another, and I hope that we can keep Charlie's legacy alive by doing just that. It's the only way we'll ever find a middle ground. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I'll talk to you in the next one.